do want you to listen to my voice, and I want you to listen to other people's voices just as much as I will listen to yours.
Star Stripes and Equal Rights!
There's a wonderful spirit and things are very positive, and people need to know that this is a people's movement.
¡Viva México!
People of all ages coming together for several No Kings protests. Organizers say they picked that name to support democracy and speak out against the Trump administration. Here in northern Nevada, more than 9,000 showed up, including in Reno and Carson City. And across the country, demonstrators took to the streets in nearly 2,000 locations. And we are live in Los Angeles as well on the right side of your screen. Okay, good evening. Thanks for being with us on this Saturday. I'm Chris Murphy. News 4's Anthony Ramos was in Carson City this morning. He now joins us live from Reno with a look at what happened in both cities today. Anthony, good evening.
Chris, after going to both protests, it's clear that the protesters are pretty much fighting for the same thing, and that is they're focusing on raising awareness for democracy. Now, here along Kitsky Lane, we saw protesters lining both sides of the street from Kitsky and McCarran, from that intersection all the way down just to the south where Kitsky and the Meadowwood Mall intersection is. Now, again, protesters focusing on pretty much the fighting for democracy, and that was the case as well in Carson. Now, many that I spoke to today are not satisfied with the current status of our nation, especially after the Trump administration took over in January. And today's protests in Carson City, put on by 5501 NV in conjunction with No Kings protests happening across the country. Now, organizers in Carson tell me that more than 3,000 people were in attendance. Many protesters holding signs reading No Kings, along with no due process for some, means no due process for anyone, as well as love over hate. Now, protesters I spoke to say they're voicing dissatisfaction for some of President Trump's policies. I spoke to Fossa Galt, a lead organizer with Nevada's 5501 chapter.
We want all of our elected representatives to pull every lever of power they have as governors, as congressmen and women, and we want those in the judiciary to uphold the Constitution and to rule in line with the Constitution instead of giving this administration a lot of deference and allowing them to slowly but surely undermine and refute the Constitution.
And back here in Reno, again, more than 9,000 people were in attendance. And one of the more noticeable differences between Reno's protests and the one we saw in Carson was the difference in age and diversity. And here in Reno, we saw a number of people, part of the younger generation, which is not really something we saw too much of in Carson. The message, however, remains the same.
We're all here for the same reason, to have progress, to help our country be more united, and to stand up against what's going on in D.C. We're not getting congressional action, judicial actions through. And so there's no president that is king. We are not a dictatorship, and we're not trying to be. That's why we left in the first place in 1776.
I'm back out here live. What you're looking at right now, protesters were on their hands and knees, just kind of drawing on the sidewalk with different kinds of chalk all the way up and down Kitsky Lane. And if you look right here behind me here, you can even see some of the flags that they've posted of the upside down flag. And again, these protests started about an hour apart from each other, wrapping up in the early afternoon. And of course, we've seen protests in neighboring cities, including Las Vegas, as well as in California. And some of those protests have had to have police intervention. Again, here in Nevada, the protests remained calm. We did try to speak with two people who were in support of President Trump. They did not want to be interviewed for this story. Of course, we'll keep you posted on all of the protests happening across the nation. Live on Kitsky Lane, Anthony Ramos, News 4. Chris?
Okay, Anthony, thanks so much. So loud but calm as it continues to be starting this morning and now into the evening hours. Appreciate the hard work and the hustle between both cities. And Reno and Carson City weren't the only areas in our region to see demonstrations. Protesters also turned out at Lake Tahoe today for the No Kings protests. Here's a look at a crowd that gathered, perhaps ironically, near Kings Beach earlier this afternoon. And along with Kings Beach, protesters also came out for the No Kings Day protest in South Lake Tahoe. One of our News 4 viewers shared some videos of the rally held at the lake this afternoon, but a big turnout there, as you can see. And to the southern part of the state now, where protesters gathered on the Las Vegas Strip this morning to take part in the No Kings Day. That group assembled near the New York Hotel and Casino, marched past the Bellagio, and then returned to their starting point. This local protest is a precursor to the national No Kings protest, which started at 5. It's scheduled to go until 7 o'clock this evening outside the federal courthouse in downtown Las Vegas. Organizers said at least 3,000 participants have registered for this peaceful protest. Let's hope it all stays that way, right? And online, our viewers shared their thoughts. Hundreds posted on our KRNV News 4 Facebook page on the protest today, both in support and in opposition. In fact, one of our viewers said people are clearly passionate about making their voices heard on democracy and checks and balances. Another sharing, what a waste of a Saturday. Shame on the guy with the American flag upside down. And your voice is always welcome here at KRNV. Please share your thoughts on today's protests on our social media pages.